is going on? Welcome to episode 51 of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host, N64 Josh. Captain Logan is player 2 on this one, and we got a whole lot of Nintendo stuff to talk about. But before we do, if you want to get yourself a free book from Audible, go to audibletrial.com/NPC. There you can choose from one in 30,000 different books. There's lots of Star Wars books, lots of gaming books, Ready Player One, Super Mario, all kinds of good stuff. The ultimate history of video games. There's so much good stuff. That's audibletrial.com/NPC. The chair I'm sitting in is from OPSeat. You go to opseat.com, use coupon code N64Josh. You're going to save yourself $10 on one of these affordable, comfortable gaming chairs. Chairs so OP, they should be nerfed. That's opseat.com. Coupon code N64Josh. I'm just writing copy for these guys as I go. That's what I'm doing right now. So, lastly, I have set up a Patreon. You go to patreon.com/N64Josh. And you can check out the exclusive content that you can get there. So that's patreon.com/N64Josh. We do this show live Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I think it's 11 p.m. Eastern. So, you know, for all you night owls, come hang out with us. It's a good time. And that's twitch.tv/N64Josh, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Did I get everything? I think I got everything. I want to say hello to Kirby Geek, aka Barbara Gordon, because she's basically the one at the computer making me look less dumb. So we have to give her a shout out because she's the one that makes me look less stupid. So, yeah. Hey, how are you, man? I burned through that 2 minutes. I mean, Oracle. Yes, sorry. Oracle. Correct. Thank you, Shapes. Thank you, Shapes. Anybody that's here and just lurking, thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. Let's talk some Nintendo stuff, man. How the heck you been?
Good. There's been a lot of little things going on this last week, and one really big thing, which I think you've actually been having a lot more fun with than you actually anticipated, huh?
I think than anybody anticipated at all. So, and that of course is Xenoblade. That was my main pickup. I picked up a few other indie titles, but my main pickup and what I've been playing, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And we're going to talk about it at length even during our review and impression section, but I got to say I am impressed. I am very, very impressed by this game. The story has pulled me in. The gameplay is fun and hectic, and this is not like any other game I would typically play. And maybe it's opening my eyes to a whole new world. I don't know. I'm not.
You're gonna go with Aladdin. You're gonna go back to the Genesis.
That could be the case. But I'm very, very impressed, and it's hilarious to me because every time I fire up the stream, I get I can't believe you're playing. You have another stream of this. I got the game Friday, and already have about 20 hours into it, and for me that's kind of rare. A whole new world of Titans, Kirby says. Yeah. So, and I mean, you know, some of my worries are like, I don't really understand all this stuff. I don't understand all the menus and the breakdowns and how to level everything up. But this game is one long tutorial. So you know, as long as you pay attention, it kind of breaks everything down for you. I'm still lost on a few things, but I'm cool with it. So, but we will talk about it more for sure later on in the show. How about you? Any killer pickups or been playing anything awesome?
I haven't really. I'm too afraid of Xenoblade to dive into it. I'll probably pick it up later. But there's just I've actually been having a lot of fun playing Destiny 2. I just finished the campaign tonight, right as they released a whole nother expansion. So I'm doing really well at staying far behind everyone else on that. So, but that's a pretty good game. I really love the feel of the gameplay on that. The characters are interesting. It's a lot of fun. I can see why people had so much fun with the first one. There are definitely some things on there that I think you've probably gone over in the loot cast with Guardian Outpost. But yeah, I've been just kind of diving into that ever since the Black Friday sale came around. So, and then as far as Nintendo games, played a little bit of Splatoon, had some fun with that. I've been trying to play more Lego City Undercover because I got that and I got stuck at a part and then put it down for a while because we were actually going to be getting like ARMS and Splatoon at the time. And I kind of went back and started playing through some of that. The writing in that game is just so funny. I really love all the little jokes and stuff that they put in there and little nods to other franchises and films and stuff. So that's pretty much all I've been doing.
Interesting. Yeah, I know my kids loved Lego City Undercover when they played it. I think even on the DS, and so one day I'll get to it. One day. We're trying to come up with interesting ideas on how to make all these games that I've acquired fun for like the stream or something like that. Like just do like a random game of the day or something like that to see. Like some of them I have no clue what they are. Like
for the right donation, you can actually make Josh open Amiibo and play certain games.
For the right donation, oh my god!
If you go to patreon.com/N64Josh, you too can help decide what Josh is going to play.
I'd have to buy duplicates, but man, oh man. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just been all Xenoblade, whether it be docked or undocked. I've been enjoying the heck out of it. So. I know
that's something I want to talk about later, though. I want to bring that up because I've been hearing otherwise.
Yeah. Which I see in our news section here. We definitely have some questions there, and there's some questions I still have, honestly, about the game and about some other things as well. So, upcoming releases: WWE 2K18 comes out the 6th. I looked at Walmart.com. You could order it for $40. I could tell you're a pretty big wrestling fan. This is a day one purchase for you.
This is, I'll tell you what, though, if this had like Sting from like Black and White Crow Sting, I would seriously consider because it's probably good couch co-op, and I actually was like a huge wrestling fan when I was growing up, so I know it's been a while since there's been a WWE title for Nintendo. It's been like 5 years from what I understand. But this is actually, so I don't know if you'd read into it or not, but I know that GameSpot had a good article on this where they were basically saying that anyone who pre-ordered the physical version of the game will get the Kurt Angle DLC pack featuring the two versions of the Hall of Famer as a free bonus. And if you buy the game digitally, you get the same deal, but only up until December 13th. So they're only giving you a week to be able to download the DLC pack for free. But you're probably going to need an extra micro SD card slot for this. I think we're getting to the point now where that's just going to have to be like a must. Because you're going to need some space on there, and you're also going to need about a gig's worth of space on the console itself. But yeah, it should be good if you're a big wrestling fan. A lot of people saying that there's some really good moments in the game that feel very fluid, and that it's going to be fun for people who want to be able to pit against some of the Hall of Famers against each other.
Yeah, I wonder how it's going to run on the Switch. I'm definitely curious. So hopefully it's good. But yeah, that's that game that has like a 32 gig download alongside with the card itself.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we'll probably beat this dead horse forever, but why the white box at the top of the packaging that says SD card and internet required? Like, I've seen what they do in like across the pond, and it's just like a big sticker on the plastic that says you need the SD card, and so your packaging isn't ruined by that little statement, and it's just odd. It looks like somebody stuck that on there and then photocopied it. It's really bizarre to me.
Yeah, but if they didn't do that with the packaging, then they'd rip off the plastic and they'd bring it back and they'd be like, hey, this game didn't say anything about needing an SD card slot, and I didn't get an SD card slot for Christmas, so I'm going to return this and get Super Mario Odyssey, which that wouldn't really be a bad idea for them, but half the people don't even pay attention to the wrapping or the stickers and stuff, so it's kind of a bummer. That's why I kind of wish they had like reversible covers for a lot of the physical copies, so you get like the cool kind of custom artwork on the inside like Splatoon 2 did. But I mean, it's going to be inevitable, and at least until we get past the point where third party developers are able to kind of utilize the system and the engines better to kind of compress a lot of the stuff that they're doing right now with their games, and it may take a year, and we're going to have some growing pains, but this is a whole new type of home console / portable experience that we'll have to kind of feel out. It's kind of like VR in that way. Everything VR right now is super expensive, but I'm willing to bet if it pans out and things go well for it, we'll probably see some cheaper models later down the road. So I just think it's part of how we have to accept how things are going to be for a little bit for us to continue enjoying home console games on a portable system.
Yeah, we're definitely, this is all hybrid, right? Not only is the system hybrid, but this whole delivery system of software and everything. I mean, you and I were talking extensively in Discord just about Resident Evil and how like the case says Resident Evil Revelations or whatever.
Yeah. 1 and that's what's on the cartridge, and then it's just a game code on the inside for 2, and it's like, well, if you use the game card, but if you're buying physical for the sake of actually having a game cartridge that you can give to other people in the household, if you have multiple Switches, then that's fine for the first game, but for the second game, once you use that code, then it's stuck to that account, and you're not going to be able to transfer that to different Switches, and it's kind of a bummer. I kind of would have rather them either not do a physical copy at all and just have it be an eShop special, or put 2 cartridges in there. Capcom, it seems like Capcom wants to go all out on the Switch with the most recent news, and why not just put in 2 cartridges? We're used to having multiple CDs for older games.
I think it's the Nintendo tax, honestly. It's that $10, right? Now you're talking about them paying $20 just to put this thing out. Like,
yeah. But
it's just, the case is literally Resident Evil Revelations collection, right? And then very tiny at the bottom includes game card for Resident Evil Revelations and a download code for Resident Evil Revelations 2. The back shows both games. It's just, I've never seen anything like this before, and it's not that big a deal. I paid for it. I still have both games, but it is just odd that you don't see 2 on the cart. I'm showing it to the camera right now. You just see Revelations, and I'm kind of a sucker, especially for the DS games that have the cross where you get like the Fire Emblem Fates where you had both games on one cart, and those things are worth like a small fortune right after they come out. But so yeah, it's just weird. And again, this is one of those games that has that, the big white internet download and micro SD card required right at the top, like.
Yeah,
I don't know. And Kirby says, well, what doesn't work for used copies? Nintendo doesn't care whatsoever about used copies. The only people making money off of used copies, GameStop, Best Buy, whoever you're trading the games into. So really, that's of little interest. They're just trying to keep these games from getting returned to the retailer when, Sally opens this up on Christmas morning and goes, I don't have enough room to play Resident Evil Revelations 2,
It seems kind of weird, like with Revel, just kind of talking about the used market altogether. Capcom's move to make the second game a download code that is pretty customer hostile for new and for used. I mean, you're forcing us to buy an SD card slot to be able to download the second game, and then if anyone wants to buy the cartridge, then they're only going to get the first game. They won't be able to get the second game, which is going to, the cost of the cartridge is going to be significantly less. I mean, they sell the eShop title for $20. So, I mean, if you bought the cartridge package for $40 to get both games, and you've got one game that you can't get rid of after you've beat it, then you're only going to have like a $15, $17 worth cartridge. And it's really customer hostile. So I'm hoping that they don't do that with the Mega Man games. I really hope that they give you all of the games.
Don't get your hopes up, dude.
I know.
Don't get your hopes up, because the price, from my understanding, and I could be wrong, Kirby's going to correct me, I'm sure, but and I think Shapes knows a little bit more about this as well. The size of the cart goes up the bigger they are. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, you buy a 32 gig SD card, it's this price. You buy a 64, it's higher, so on and so forth. The unfortunate thing is, at this point, it's kind of on Nintendo. They're the ones that are putting the third party publishers in a position that this kind of stuff has to take place, so that, I mean, that $10, if they bought another cart, that's a huge profit loss. Maybe no profit at that point, depending on, I mean, the games are, as far as for a physical copy, by the time the retailer takes their cut and all that stuff, I mean, that would be Nintendo taking half. If they still sold it at 40, that would be Nintendo taking half right off the top.
So if that's the case for like third party developers who aren't just porting past games, I would say, that would definitely be a big bummer. But we're like just kind of keeping on with Capcom. Capcom is literally just designing they're spending the time to port these games, get them licensed or get them approved, get them rated, having Nintendo test them, designing or they don't even have to really design the art. They just have to use a template that they could probably make for the cover art and anything. I mean, it's not like they're designing an instruction booklet on the inside of these things. They just need the cover art for it. So I can't imagine that the cost to port these is going to be that high. It's something that they've been doing with these games for years on multiple systems. So they already kind of factor in some of that cost, and I'm sure it's not hurting them to open it up to a brand new ecosystem that is perfect for people that love Nintendo and Mega Man, having then Mega Man's come back to the Nintendo system. So, I mean, with Capcom, they should just go all in. They should just put the hand on the table, take a look at it, and say, these, we're going to bring them all. We're going to bring the new one. We're going to take them and we're going to do them right. And then that way we don't have to deal with this whole, download code for Mega Man X 5 through 8, and the cartridge has X 1 through 4. That would just be ridiculous.
Well, and I mean, ultimately, those games are so tiny. This shouldn't be an issue. But Resident Evil Revelations 2, which is 12 in the best-selling games right now on the eShop. Resident Evil Revelations 1 is 14 out of the 15 that they show. But the second one is 26 gigs, 23 gigs, 23.6 gigs, and the first one is 12. So they went with the smaller cart to put the first game on, and then left the larger game for the DLC. And I mean, I don't blame them. I feel like it's Nintendo that's kind of put them in a weird place to have to do stuff like that. And the other thing is, Nintendo has always been about the ease of use for their customer base, right? I mean, buy little Timmy his DS, you put a game in and you play. That's not the case any longer with the Switch. You have to put an SD card in.
Yeah, but how much harder is it to have like one large SD card in the system and just have these little cartridges that you can share around, compared to what's going on with like home consoles, where you buy a game, you throw it in, and then you have to download the game to the actual console before you get to play it. I mean, the fact that you get to kind of like throw the cartridge in the system and get to play it is a real benefit. And, you know, like with Doom, the multiplayer, as soon as I threw it in, it wanted me to download the multiplayer. I think it took maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and I was able to get right back in. But I didn't even realize like I was downloading the multiplayer at the time. I just thought it was like a day one patch, because I'm so used to every game not being completely finished that I just expect there's going to be a day one patch. And, you know, and if it's 500 megabytes or if it's 2 gigs, I can't see the difference. It just takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think the main point is just for that younger audience with parents that aren't as informed. You know, for example, like my nephews, his parents are not informed whatsoever when it comes to gaming stuff. They come to me and they're like, "Hey, we want to get him games for this system that you got him. What should we get?" You know, they're kind of clueless. That's fine. It's not their hobby. It's not what they're interested in. But it's the kind of thing that, like, you know, you get a 7 to 10-year-old kid the Switch, and let's say he does or she gets Doom or gets wrestling. Wrestling's not even going to work without an SD card.
Yeah.
I think that's the case. I could be mistaken, because I want to get the game in hand to find out for sure, but I think it says it requires a 32 gig download. Well, you don't even have 32 gigs of space on the Switch after your operating system is there.
Well, I'm not disputing that's a bum deal for the consumer. That's kind of where I feel like it's on the parents to do a little research on that part. And I can't speak to you know, because I don't have to deal with it. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know, if you're going to get your kids a gaming system and there's going to be different games on it, you know, take some time to look at it. Like, okay, well, what kind of accessories am I going to need? Should I get a screen protector? Is a micro SD card slot? How do I set up parental controls? These are things that you know, if you're going into a store and you're picking one up, you know, you should take a look around, or hopefully there's some. I mean, I can't trust employees to know. That's a bet. Never mind. I can't make that example. You know, I mean, like, you know, like Google's your friend. Just a little Google. Listen to a podcast. You know, like search iTunes for, you know, Nintendo Powercast and learn about all the stuff you need.
I don't disagree with you, but they won't. They go into a GameStop expecting to get the questions answered that they have, right? I mean, I know that because I worked at a GameStop and answered a lot of questions like this. Even just having family members that know I'm into gaming and having kids that are slowly getting to that age, they're like, I don't know about this stuff. But I mean, even the 3DS came with an SD card. It was only 4 gigs, but at least it had one. You know, then you get into the new 3DS, you had to take a screwdriver to take the back off of that thing and then use the stylus to pop it off so you could get to the SD card, which was a complete nightmare. I mean,
well, that's not on top of the fact that you actually had to buy an AC adapter to be able to charge it. Yeah. I mean, all things considered, the Switch is doing fairly well in comparison to their second system. So, I mean, we can't hash them for too much. I mean, picking up an SD card slot, most if you've got kids, you've got cameras. And if you've got cameras, you've probably got extra SD card slots sitting around somewhere. Yeah,
but they switched to the micro. In the 3D, it switched from the big cards to the mini cards, or to the micros. True. So it's like, I mean, you do have to stay. But the point is, most people are going to get a DS, get a 3DS, whatever the case is, give it to a kid, let him pop the games in and play. They're probably not going to go onto the eShop. They're probably not going to even have the system update. They're going to enter their names, not sign them online, and say, here, play. And they know that when they buy them a game and they take it out and put it back in, it's going to play, and that's it. And if they're moving forward with the technology and going, oh, here's the Switch, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, Dad, why doesn't my game play? I don't know, it must be broken. Like, why doesn't it, like, then I guess that white bar comes in handy, right? Where it says needs SD card. But even that, it's not like, it's tiny. It's written so small. It's just a big white box. And it's like, what is this? I don't know. We could beat this thing to death. I'm just, I'm bummed out a little bit thinking about the kids on Christmas that are going to open some of these things and go, why doesn't this work? What do you mean I can't have Minecraft on here? I don't have enough room, or that kind of stuff. Like
that story's been, that's
Dad, hook my Xbox or hook my Nintendo up to the TV. It took him 2 hours.
What do you mean this RC car needs AA batteries? I didn't buy batteries.
Dude, back in the day, you had to have a screwdriver for some of the TVs and a special adapter to hook up your RF switch, because it didn't just have the coax in the back of the TV that you could screw into it.
Everything you just said eliminated like half of the people that listen to this. They're like, RF what? Coexistence what?
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
Coax. Yeah. All right. Whatever. Let's move on. So, Tiny Metal, December 21st. This is another one we have coming soon. Do you know much about this title?
So this is okay. So for anyone that is an Advanced Wars junkie, this is going to be the one that you've probably kept your eye on for a while. And it's been one of those things like Sony Studios, they've been kind of like, not sure when it's coming out. December 21st, they finally nailed the date. If you love Advanced Wars, you're going to love this game. It looks awesome. The characters and the design of it's really cool. Turn-based games are really kind of lacking on the Switch right now. I think like Mario plus Rabbids is the best experience you can get right now for turn-based strategy games. But Tiny Metal, finally, thankfully, there's a release date, December 21st. You can still get it before Christmas if you have the right Amazon setting. I don't know.
Is this a physical?
I don't think it's a physical. I think it's just going to be an eShop for now. They might do a physical later on, like they're doing with like Wonder Boy, but I don't know. It's one of those ones where I would, if you're looking forward to it, you're probably going to want to have it on the system no matter what, just because it's one of those games that it's going to be great to be able to pop on the bus, play a couple turns on your way to work, and then when you're done, sleep the system till lunch, and then when you're on lunch, pop it open and do a few more turns, and then when lunch is done, you come home, throw it on the dock, and play it on the big screen.
You live the commercial, don't you? Like that's your life is the commercial. Do you play on rooftops with a bunch of hipsters?
Dude, I wish. I wish that I could just be one of those California guys who is just like everything I eat is green and comes from Mother Nature, and all I have to do is hook up my bicycle to the bike and play on the. No, I have to deal with traffic on the 5 freeway, and I work outside all day. I don't ever get to play my Switch.
Oh, poor guy. Shape says, yeah, it was the game that the creator used Kickstarter money from another game that isn't even out yet to finish this game and sell to a publisher. Just saying.
Shh. We don't talk about that. We're not going to mention that.
We're going to move right into the 14 eShop indies being released on 12/7. That's right, folks. 14 indies. Wow.
It's crazy. I was just kind of digging through some of them too, just to try and find out like what some of these are. So many of these games just look like the Metroidvania, like kind of retro graphic kind of, I want to call them ripoffs, because it doesn't look like a lot of them have put a whole lot of, there's one in there that looks like it's a cross between Stardew Valley and Terraria. There's another one that looks like it's a straight Castlevania ripoff that's got a little heavy metal in it. The only one that I saw that was kind of interesting was the Sexy Brutale, which that's kind of like a murder mystery during a masked ball game. I can't think of anything that's I mean, Nine Parchments came out today, and that's like the most interesting indie I can think of this week. And that's only because it's 4-player online co-op where it's like a gauntlet styled game. I mean, there's so many, and I don't know why these are all getting through, because not half of them don't look good, and the other half look like ripoffs of other game franchises that are doing it way better.
I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, at some point, the Switch is going to become Steam. Like, it seems like it's going to get there quickly.
Yeah.
Shapes is asking, what about the Warrior Chef
Battle
game?
Chef Brigade. Yeah, that's one that I do want to pick that up, because that's one that it's the Cartoon Network guys. They built that game. I listened to Player One podcast, and one of the guys works for Cartoon Network, and he gave it to all his buddies on the podcast, and they love it. But that seems really cool. The kind of the mesh between the what is like a Bejeweled or like a Puyo game? I can't think of like a puzzler. Yeah, it's like a puzzler, but it's also like a 2D platformer, where you basically have to go out and gather ingredients, and then you come back and do a little bit of Iron Chef work with the ingredients to please the patrons. And there's a lot of kind of tactics involved on matching the right pairs of or right 3 items to get different ingredients and stuff. So. Adult Swim games. I'm sorry, I've been messing it up this whole time. Yeah, the Adult Swim game guys built that. But yeah, Battle Chef Brigade, it's been getting a lot of good reviews. A lot of people seem to really like the mashup. They say that it's really fluid. So I'm probably going to end up having to pick that up real soon.
Nightcrawler actually just reminded me of something. He says, I don't like seeing games that are phone ports coming to the eShop. And I would say in some cases, yes. That, but that I don't think that's true in every case. I picked up Gear Club Unlimited, and that game is like having Forza on your Switch. I was very, very impressed with this game. Actually went and watched some of the behind the scenes making of. There's a lot that went into this game, and if you're looking for a semi-realistic simulation racer on the Switch, don't sleep on Gear Club. Like, I didn't know it was a mobile game, so I jumped into it initially and was playing it, was like, oh, this is cool, and then Hate was like, this was a mobile game, right? I'm like, well, that doesn't mean it can't still be good, right? Like, yeah, it's not like a Flappy Bird clone. It's not. That's not. So then I actually downloaded this game on my iPhone also just to check it out. It's extremely impressive the way this game runs, even on the phone. So if you want to check it out for free, download it on your current phone. But it's quite fun on the Switch, and it has a lot of upgrades and that kind of stuff, like a lot of like kind of Need for Speed style stuff. Like Forza, you kind of get your car, but you don't do a whole lot of aftermarket stuff to it. It doesn't seem like you can tweak some stuff, but it didn't quite have change the paint and whatnot. This has, you can change different, like the way the bumper looks in multiple different areas. You can change the doors in multiple different areas, the spoiler, all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm not a huge racing game enthusiast, but I do play the Forza games and Mario Kart and stuff, of course. But this,
I think I know what he's talking about, because I remember seeing something about the Mujo game that's out on Switch now. It's $10 on the eShop for Switch, but it's a free to download game on phones, and they left all the microtransactions in both versions. And I think I was actually listening to RGS, and he was doing a little bit of detective work on it for his show, and he was saying that apparently the microtransactions for this game were higher on the Switch than they were for the phone version. So they were actually purposefully kind of upping the cost of things in their game on top of charging an initial fee for it, but for a game that they had originally on the on phones with cheaper microtransactions. So with that's kind of a bad business practice towards I mean, it kind of goes back to the consumer hostile perspective with your games. But like, for example, Voice is one that was on phones for a while, and that was a game that I picked up when it was on phones. And that you could buy the songs, and it was a very much like a kind of DDR style game, but with your fingers. And it's a well-made game. And the cost that they charged for the full game with all the songs for the Nintendo Switch was actually very, very competitive with what it costs to buy all the songs in the bundles on the phone version. And then they went ahead and updated it later on to even have even more songs free of charge. So it depends on the publisher and the developer to decide, like, you know, what's going to be a good game for the system and how much are they going to charge for it, and if that is comparable to what they're doing on phones.
Yeah, I'm looking at that Mujo right now. Like, you can spend up to like $50 almost in microtransactions. Like, yeah, I don't know. And I mean, we have to expect it, right? I mean, we see it. The microtransactions are everywhere. I mean, they're a huge topic right now in gaming. EA's stock like plummeted because of Star Wars Battlefront. Like,
but Josh, Star Wars is such a good franchise. How could they possibly lose on a Star Wars game?
Well, let me introduce you to loot boxes that the internet hates. So, yeah, that's strange, man. Looking at I mean, that Mujo game in my mind should be free. If they're going to,
we're going to get some of these, and it's going to fall right in line with all these other eShop titles that are, you know, coming out on the same day and stuff. And they'll, you know, the good ones will rise up. We'll get our Stardews, we'll get our Golf Stories, you know, we'll get our Battle Chef Brigades. Those will always come to the top. And you know, until then, the best thing I can do is recommend that people take a look at the game, see if it's something that it looks interesting. There's one that I think was saying it was like 6 hours of gameplay for $20. That's not a deal to me. I can find way better games that'll give me way more worth or value as far as like gameplay for the cost of the game. So just kind of dig in, do some due diligence when you're looking at games, and just expect that the market will bear the ones that are good, and anything else will just fall to the wayside.
So I don't want to spend too much more time on this Gear Club game, but it's $44.99. There are no microtransactions. The game is a complete game without any microtransactions. They're not even in the game. It's not like it's an optional thing. On the phone, the game is free. And eventually it's like, yeah, you could play this for hours and hours and hours, or throw us $10 and you'll have what you need. It has over 400 races. That doesn't mean it has over 400 different locations, right? But the map is a very large map. There's tons of cars in this game. I don't know the exact number. And they're all authentic, which is also pretty cool if you're into it. But you also can do 4-player split screen, which is something that you don't always see all that often in games. So this game does a lot of things right, coming over from the mobile market onto the Switch. So I don't know. I'm gonna do a few videos of it so you guys can get a little more details on it. But it's actually a decent game. That's something with
just real quick with mobile games, with something like that, and having the 4-player split screen, that actually intrigues me, because most of the time with a mobile game, you'd have to be racing against someone else's like asynchronous ghost. That's not fun.
And that's even how Forza is a lot of times. I mean, you can do online racing, you know, and get into chats and stuff, but the Horizon games have no split screen. and the straight Forza games, at least 5, you could do 2-player split screen max, but not 4. So I don't know. It that's one that's doing it right, and it seems like the guys that were making it, the guys and gals making it, really care about it. So it's neat to see. But this is just a real quick point. Zelda broadcast on the 12th. It's nothing on the Champions Ballad. It's something to do with 2 singers that have played the game and are kind of giving their experience of it. It's happening at like 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so it's pretty early in the morning. I think everybody's kind of got their fingers crossed that at the Game Awards on Thursday, we're going to hear an announcement from Nintendo then that, hey, and Friday, tomorrow, you can download this. You can download the DLC for Zelda. That's kind of what everybody's hoping. Kirby's like, Nintendo's killing me.
It would be great. Oh man, I'm wanting this DLC. So I want to have more story. I've got the Champions Ballad artwork as my wallpaper right now. Like I really love Zelda. It is probably my favorite game this year, hands down, over anything else. And to get a little taste of what else is going on in that story, it really makes me want to have them announce it on Thursday. I want it Thursday. Just give it to me.
Right.
Just can't wait longer.
It's going to be February, man. I'm calling it right here. So
Don't you say that.
No, I'm just
Don't
kidding.
you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I'm playing. We've talked a little bit about Nightcrawler says December 25th DLC. Get the Christmas gaming fun. Ooh. Oh, a few years back, remember when Lizard Squad shut down Xbox Live and PlayStation on Christmas Day? Yeah, the year both my boys got their own Xbox console, their first console Christmas, and neither of them could play because Lizard Squad shut down Xbox Live. So at least
you didn't have to buy him an SD card.
That's true.
Didn't have to buy him an SD card.
That's right. So Capcom did a 30th anniversary Mega Man stream, announced a bunch of stuff coming out on all the consoles, Switch included. They showed Mega Man 11. What did you think of that?
It was a beautiful game. Like that was really amazing. Like we've been talking about like Project Octopath off and on about how it's kind of like the HD 2D graphics and stuff. Like the Mega Man 11 is exactly what I would love for like future 2D games. We got it with Metroid Returns, where it's a 3D game in a forced 2D perspective, and that's exactly like what the Mega Man 11 is. It's really bright, vibrant colors. It looks and it moves well. They're doing some cool stuff with the powers now. The powers aren't just like colors; they're actual like different gear or armor. Like it looks really awesome. And then at the very end, they do a little teaser about like a hyper mode or something. So I think this is exactly what Mega Man fans have been wanting. I think this is exactly like this is going to be Capcom doing something good with their franchise, with their IP. Kind of what we wanted with Sonic Forces, and had to live with Sonic Mania instead.
Do you think Mega Man's going to have the same curse as Sonic, and that you're not going to see a really good Mega Man game come out for a really long time? Or do you think 11's going to break that? I saw a few people tweet out. The most that I saw was somewhat negative, that they didn't like the look of 11. That they missed the pixel art, like they didn't want to see it progress. But I mean, I could totally see why they did that. And I think that may have more of appeal to a new audience than the older pixel art style would. My favorite Mega Man X. And maybe some people don't even consider that a Mega Man game. I don't know. I don't really care. It's my favorite. I loved playing that game on my Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So
it was a good one.
I mean, the graphics to me were fine. The bottom line is the gameplay. Is it going to hold up? Is it going to be fun? Is the level design going to be good? Because those games, they aren't just about the graphics whatsoever. there's a lot that goes in when you can only shoot one direction. Or, you can only shoot left or right, not up or at an angle or anything like that. Like the gameplay elements have to be spot on to make those games fun. So, and we all kind of learned firsthand that they can be screwed up. Mighty Number 9. It can be.
It's gonna be interesting to see how it unfolds. They basically said that it's going to be coming out late 2018. So I'm imagining, and it's coming to all the systems too. So I think it's even coming to PC. So I mean, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, toasters, microwaves, fridges, anywhere you can.
Oh, so my Samsung fridge, I can't wait.
So I imagine we'll probably see some more information come E3. This seems like they just wanted to get this out there to let people know what's going on with them in the next year, so that they don't have weird investor meetings. But it's going to be really good. I think they need to do something different with this series. I don't think it's going to ruin anything, because I think that the gameplay that people expect from a Mega Man game is going to be there, just based off of the way the game moved and the way that they were showing off some of the clips of different enemies and then the bosses and stuff. It's going to be a precision platformer, and Mega Man's going to have the same weight to when he jumps and he rolls, and it's got Rush in there. So I mean, I think it's going to be good. I don't see anything in that trailer that makes me think like, oh, they're just trying to fluff this up for something that's not going to be that great.
So
Sonic Forces.
And so here's Mega Man 11 is going to be a standalone game. Legacy Collection is going to have the Legacy Collection 1 and 2 in one cart. Fingers crossed. Need an SD card. And then all the Mega Man X games are going to be. So it's looking like 3 separate Mega Man releases in 2018. Is that?
It's pretty insane. Yeah, okay. It's kind of like what Nintendo did with Kirby. I mean, they pretty much threw like a Kirby game announced for all their systems, like this whole year, didn't they?
Kirby's everywhere. I don't even know. Sometimes he's downloadable. Sometimes he's in a robot. Kirby's everywhere.
Now, if only they could make a good Kirby game, right, Kirby Geek?
Right. Well, the robot one's pretty good. Mega Man based on Power Rangers. That's what you have in the notes here. Please, give me the lowdown there.
I was listening to because I love listening to Nintendo. Anytime I can learn something about Nintendo, I love digging into it. But there was a Nintendo Power Time podcast that kind of focused in on some of the Mega Man games a while back, and I didn't get a chance to go back to re-listen to those episodes. But Tom Tate had a guest on who wrote a book seriously just on Mega Man alone. Like the whole book is nothing about anything except Mega Man. And I guess the original creator, the original inspiration for Mega Man was actually based on the Japanese show for their version of the Power Rangers, which we eventually got over here in the States. But it kind of, the reason why I put this in the notes was because last April, there was a director of the Power Rangers shows, either the shows or the movies. I think it was, or no, it wasn't the directors. It was one of the producers who wanted to make an R-rated Mega Man film. And this is something that they were basically like proposing coming out after the Castlevania TV shows. So I kind of wonder like if this is something that has been in the works kind of, in closed doors for a while, because it seems it's the 30th anniversary. We've got all these games coming out for the Switch for Mega Man. They're coming out with a new game. There's been interest in a Mega Man film. Like, is this going to be like a resurgence of the Mega Man IP to the likes of which we've never seen? Question mark.
They got to capture a new audience. I mean, that's their That's what they got to do. They've got to do it. They've got to do like Mario Odyssey and be appealing to more than just nostalgia.
I mean, what else is Capcom going to be doing? Because I mean, they've got some good IPs, and this is one that's been lying dormant for a long time. And if they're not going to do anything with it, then they need to let someone else make games for it. But this is them actually coming out and saying, "Hey, we still make games. We don't just port them." So I think a Mega Man 11 is a welcome addition to the franchise. I think a lot of fans are excited at this news. Are you a Mega Man fan? Because I love Mega Man games. I'm just horrible at them.
Yeah, I mean they're games that are fun for me, but I don't know, like they're not games that you just kind of sit down and play. Like you have to not only learn the patterns of the enemies throughout each level, but you have to learn the patterns on which guys kill which guy the easiest after you defeat them, and so on and so forth. So, like I said, Mega Man X, I loved everything about that game. I loved the very beginning where you can't win the boss fight unless you have the Game Genie. It actually just goes on forever and ever and ever, which is pretty funny. And then what Zero, is that his name, comes in and shoots the Sigma, I think it was his name. Like I'm literally trying to pull this stuff right from my memory. And I just loved that kind of stuff. It was like, oh, this is sweet. Like, as a kid, I remember just geeking out totally about that. So I have a good time with them. They're very challenging, great games to stream because you can see the frustration in the person that's playing going, why do I suck at this? And, trying to figure them out. So, but I mean, I have the Mega Man collection on my Xbox One. I have the Mega Man collection with the gold Mega Man amiibo for the DS, I don't even know if I opened the one on the Xbox. And I know I didn't open the one with the amiibo. We all know that. So, but
we have. I think Cup World has shown that there's definitely
Cuphead?
A place. Or Cuphead. What did I say? Cup World.
It's all right. You were talking about the teacup game or whatever that you go and have tea parties at Cup World.
The thing on the Xbox One, Xbox box.
Yeah.
There's definitely a market for players who want to have a hard, challenging game, just like with I think we're getting Super Meat Boy eventually on the system as well. So I mean, having platformers that are challenging, that force you to learn patterns, it's not a dead franchise, and I think now's a great time to have one of the original iterations of that genre coming back in full force with a new fresh coat of paint, really shining for 2018 in a year where we're not sure like what Nintendo's going to do. So we feel like third parties are going to have to step it up. And now we've got a November, potentially December game slotted for the Switch for next year.
Yeah, it's cool. I saw a few tweets that were saying like, it looks like Capcom is scrambling. Like they were almost taking the EA approach, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we're putting everything we can on this thing, So, and good. I mean, and you can't blame them for being gun shy. You really can't. So, let's see. Let's move on to. We're getting short on time here. So, real quick, can you give me the lowdown on the D-pad with the Xenoblade controller? I went and picked one up. It looks gorgeous.
Oh,
did you find out? Has anybody confirmed? There's a guy on YouTube named like Spawnwave, I think, who was going to take it apart. I don't know if he ended up getting around to it or not.
Sure did, yeah, and he tore. Oh man, and bless him for doing this too. He tore apart the original Pro controller and the Xenosaga Pro controller
blade.
Oh God, I can't do that.
Take a drink, everyone. He said Xenosaga again.
My gosh, yep. So Xenoblade Chronicles 2 controller for the Nintendo Switch TM. Yeah, so he took that guy apart. He took apart the Pro Controller, and then he compared both of the D-pads to Super Nintendo D-pad. And sure enough, the Xenoblade Pro Controller does have a slightly longer post that it sits on, so that there's less opportunity for multiple points of contact when depressing like one of the directional buttons. So it's $5 more than a normal Pro Controller. If you don't have a Pro Controller, get the Xenoblade one. If you do have a Pro Controller and you want like a player two for fighting games, maybe you want to give your buddy the original one and use the Xenoblade one for yourself. But I mean, it's a slight change, and it kind of reminds me of when they did the original Joy-Cons, when we were having the problems with the connectivity with the left Joy-Con and Link would be running off on his own. And they fixed it. They fixed it super quick. And I think Nintendo is still continually listening to the community when they're talking about their hardware, and the iterations that they're doing in the actual factories is starting to manifest. We're starting to actually see like what's going on with them behind the scenes by them doing slight adjustments.
Selfish. Shape says selfish. All right, giving them the bad controller. Playing some Street Fighter 2, giving them the lesser D-pad.
Yes, only this time they won't know because it doesn't have a giant Mad Cat sticker on the front.
Right. Well played. Well played. Okay, let's talk about Xenoblade real quick. Resolution drops. Talk to me. What have you been hearing?
Just that and I was hoping actually you might be able to tell me more about this, because a lot of the kind of talk around town, I guess is a way to put it, is that people are saying that the resolution is dropping when in handheld mode in large expanse areas, and then going to towns and then back to large expansive areas. So I don't have any personal experience with this, so I was kind of hoping that I was wondering, have you noticed anything as far as like the actual resolution dropping when you're playing it in handheld mode? Because I know a lot of the gameplay that you have been doing is when you're actually streaming on Twitch, and it's always docked in that sense.
So I'm trying to think. I know a lot of the handheld I did inside of a ship, so that wasn't really, these big vast areas to go and check out. I was in the ship. I will say this right off the bat: as soon as I undocked it, and I had been playing on my 27-inch monitor, as soon as I undocked it, I was like, there's definitely, I mean, obviously it's 720p versus, I mean, I have a 4K monitor. I don't know. It's probably doing a little bit of upconverting, I'm assuming, but it was a definite, like, almost like a shock, kind of like, this looks a lot like grainier. Right. Whereas like going from Odyssey to, I don't know if grainy is the right word. It just doesn't look as clean. Not so much that I would complain about it though. I'm like, I'm playing in handheld on a 720p screen. Like it's still not once did I go, I really wish I was just playing docked. Right.
So is it something as significant as playing like the difference between like a PS3 to a PS2, or like a Wii to a GameCube?
No, nothing like that. It's literally just resolution, to where it's like it's just, you can, it's not that you necessarily see the pixels, but you can just tell you're playing on a lower resolution. That's basically it. For some people, that really may set them off, right? That may really bother them. I'm not that person. I'm like, I play handheld games. I have since the original Game Boy, right? So like, I always have gone into handheld gaming knowing it's going to be a lesser experience than a monitor or a television set. It's just the way it is. Have I noticed it with any other games as much as I noticed it with Xenoblade? I don't think so, other than Rocket League, of course, right? Because Rocket League, that dynamic resolution takes a huge dip at sometimes just to keep at 60 frames a second. And that's fine. I understand why they did that. They wanted to make sure that you could do cross-platform play without being the guy going 30 frames a second while everyone else is going 60, And so,
So have you... Have you noticed, like, with the because I haven't heard anything as far as Xenoblade having a locked frame rate. Is that something that dips as well with the resolution, or does the frame rate stay constant and just the resolution back off?
There was in one battle with a boss that was fairly large. There's a ton going on this game that I'm like, did I just know? Like, this is literally what it was. Did I just notice a frame rate drop? And then that's literally what I said. Did I just notice that? And then I just went right back in to what I was doing. And I'm like, if it was very, very minuscule and not even worth complaint. Like, it wasn't like a Super Nintendo game when things start exploding and it's like literally you're teleporting from spot to spot. It was like, I may have just seen a little bit of slowdown, but it was during a time while you're fighting, your sword is out. You don't move as fast when you're trying to run anyway. So I'm like, did I just go a little bit slower than normal? And it was minuscule. And it was the one time I've noticed it, and I haven't noticed it again since. So I'm not even completely sure that it was a frame rate dip. So
that kind of leads me into and Hatred says it in there too, is the real question is does having a lower frame rate and or a lower resolution ruin the enjoyment of actually playing it?
Not in the slightest bit. Not at all. It honestly was one of those things that when I looked at it initially in handheld, I went, oh, this is a little less pretty. And then I jumped right into the game and was like, I was immediately used to it. You know, it's like when you walk into a Best Buy or something and you're like, oh, that TV's awesome. And the TV next to it's like, oh, that kind of sucks. And then you realize, oh, that's the TV I have at home. And it's never looked that bad because I'm not comparing it to, I'm not looking at it in my living room next to a nicer television. Yeah. It was the same kind of thing. Like, I had just come away from playing on my monitor and then went to handheld and was like, oh, it's not quite as pretty. But then after that, I just got used to it immediately and kept going forward. And I've loved it. He asked, is this a 10/10? Is this a 10 out of 10? I mean, I'm 20 hours in and I can't recommend the game enough. You know, there's times that it's been so challenging that I can't beat stuff, or stuff comes out of nowhere and just wipes me out and I have to restart. There's times I wish I could just run by stuff and I end up having to fight. There's other times that I want to sit and fight and grind. It really kind of allows you to play how you want. It has the kind of that open world feel, not quite Zelda, because you're still kind of doing like side quests and that kind of stuff. That kind of put you on a linear path. But I would definitely recommend this game, especially if you like JRPGs at all.
So for a $60 game, AAA title, is this, like, how accessible is this? Because it's a JRPG, which for most people is not easy to pick up and understand what's going on, especially if it's a franchise game. So is it something that anyone can learn without knowing anything about, like, a JRPG?
If I can play this game, anybody can play this game. Part of my hesitance to play JRPGs is trying to understand everything. I look at menus, even regular, like Western RPGs, Mass Effect, Skyrim, that kind of stuff. When it comes to leveling up, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what you need to do. Like, if I can set something to auto level, I will. I don't want to mess with it. It's not something that I like really enjoy. I want to be in the action. I want to be fighting. I don't want to have to figure out all the nuances. If I level this, it's going to improve this, that kind of stuff. That's not for me. This game, it makes it easy enough that, like, I can understand what I'm doing. I feel like I'm tackling this game the way I want to, which is I'm going to play the heck out of this game for quite some time, and then I'm going to go into my menu and level some things up when I have massive points built up to be able to do that. You know, you may be the kind of person that you're like, oh, as soon as I hit 250 points and I can do this, this is my next step in this progression. I'm like, I don't even really know what that does, you know? So I just play until I'm like, oh yeah, I need to level up. And then I jump into it. But I'm holding up the box. This is the box for the special edition, dude. Look at there's my head. You see how big
Holy cow.
this thing is? Like, this
is there a book in there?
Yeah, there's a massive art book.
Oh my gosh.
This thing is extremely heavy. When I got it from Amazon today, I was like, my wife picks up the box and it says my name on it. She's like, what is this? And hands it to me. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Why is it so heavy? It's got an art book, a CD, and the first steel case for a Switch game, as far as I know. There may be another one that I'm unaware of, but
wow.
So, and the artwork on the steel case is awesome. So I'm all in on this game. I'm surprised. I went into it with a very optimistic attitude of like, I really want to enjoy this game. I'm not going to give up on it before I figure it out, because that's a lot of times where I end up. It's even like Pokemon Moon. I'm like, I walked away, after like 5 hours of playing it, and I'm like, I don't even remember how to level up anything, how to do anything. I'm tired of catching the same stupid Pokemons, so I didn't pick it back up again. This is one of those games that, like, I played Destiny 2 today because I have a show where we talk about it, but I was wanting to play Xenoblade the whole time. I was like, I would much rather be playing Xenoblade right now. So,
do we have time to kind of go into it a little bit?
We're pushing the hour mark, but we can go a little longer.
So, because I'm genuinely curious, and I think other people that are kind of on the fence about this game are as well. I mean, is this something where, like, what are some of your favorite experiences so far with this game? Because I don't know a whole lot about it. I've been watching your stream a bit, and I've been seeing you running around, but I don't really grasp like what you're actually doing. I just see you running around with a giant blade. Okay,
so basically, your blade is not only your sword, but it's a person or a character along with you, right? So,
and that's the waifu.
That's right? Hot pants. And so,
okay.
And you unlock those different ones that you can switch while you're playing, and then you have two other, and so you're called a driver, and then you have your blade. I did not understand any of this. I didn't understand until I started unlocking them, that I'm like, oh, the blade is not only the weapon, it's this person that's with me. I'm like I said, when I come to this kind of stuff, I'm somewhat clueless to it. So that's why I told Kirby Geek all along, I'm like, you've got to be my moral support through this game. And so there'll be times that I'm like, what am I doing? Why isn't this? And she'll be like walking me off the cliff. Like, you got this. You just do this. You're good. Okay. All right. I understand. So, but basically the very first time she said I didn't even understand that I was Rex in the first 10 minutes of the game. Oh, here we go. The weapon has a soul. Don't you know anything about samurai? See? Clueless, guys. Clueless. Give me a gun and a target and I'll shoot at it. That's me. So
you're in a party, right? So you get you're with other people fighting, but you don't control the other people, right?
So I'll break this all down real quick. So my initial fight, here I am, like, they say you're going to fight this like crab. Okay, cool. I go to start hitting buttons and my sword is auto swinging. And I'm like, what? I don't control the swing. Like, I almost was like, I'm done at this point. Like, that alone, I was like, I can't do this. This is borderline turn-based at this point. I don't even control the attack. This is not good. Fast forward 20 hours, I could not be more thankful that I don't have to press a button continually to do my attack, because what your attack does is each time you attack, it levels up a super move that's tied to one of 3 buttons on your controller that you then activate. One may do an attack that pulls healing potions out of the enemy you're fighting. One may knock them down. One may just do a bunch of damage. And then those all level up a super move that can get leveled up multiple times, that you can then do this massive attack with your blade. And then while you're fighting with your teammates, they the triggers will pop up saying activate this move for them, so that they're end up doing some of their supers and stuff. So not having to focus on swinging your sword is one of the best gameplay decisions they could have made for this game.
That was a lot to process. I was overwhelmed by the first time you got an item and you had to go into 4 levels of menus just to equip the item. But that sounds a lot. So I'm assuming that by playing 20 hours, and they kind of slowly take you through a lot of kind of learning about this, so that you learn the different supers have counters, I would imagine, to certain enemies, or.
So this is an area that honestly I don't quite understand. As you're attacking, I have a minimal understanding of it. Pyra, who is your main blade that you start with, she's a fire type, I guess is how the best way to put it. She uses fire.
Okay.
And then you're paired with a person who uses water. Okay. Well, if you do, and again, this is where I still don't understand. I don't grasp this yet. I probably need to go and either watch some videos or go back into the tutorials and try to figure it out. Because Kirby Geek's saying you can string other supers from your team too, and that's exactly right. So what will happen is you'll see up in the corner, up in the right hand corner, these different icons, and those icons represent a bar. Like, let's say that there's I think Steam is one of them. Okay. Mm-hmm. So like, and the guy you're fighting might have a Steam. I think it means he has a Steam weakness, or it could be a Steam shield. I'm not real sure. This is where I'm still kind of lost. But essentially what will happen if you do that special move, which is to the A button, I believe. And if anybody understands this better, feel free to at me and tell me I'm a moron. But like I said, these aren't my normal games. So I'm still learning. But essentially you can cause a fire attack and then call on your teammates to do a water attack, which then becomes a steam attack because it's fire and water mixing. And then you can end up doing extra damage to the enemy. But there's also a trick to it that you have to kind of watch, so that if they're showing again, this is where I don't really understand. I think if they're showing steam, you want to hit them with steam. You don't want to hit them with something else, or vice versa. I can't remember. If it shows steam, they may not be weak to that. You may have to hit them with, it's kind of like a rock, scissor, paper kind of thing. But that's the aspect of the game I don't completely understand, and I'm hoping we'll explain it more. But I may have to do a little bit of research on that. So it's extremely complex. At least it seems that way for me. But I'm still loving it.
So that sounds pretty interesting in comparison to other typical RPGs, where it's just you hit something until you need to heal up, and then you heal up, and then you hit something harder with a super. It's like, sounds like you actually have to pay a little attention to not only what your party members are doing, but be able to time their attacks with your attacks to kind of create a bigger, more super attack.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. The other thing that can be irritating is they'll say the same things all the time. Like the character will be like, we were too late, or we should think about retreat, or something like that. And you hear it over and over and over again. But what Kirby pointed out to me was, well, those are indicators of something that's happening. And so I realized what I was doing when they would say we should retreat. I was looking at their hit points and going, I need to do the attack that's going to pull potions out so that I can heal the team. Because once potions hit the ground, whoever picks it up, it heals everybody. So
there's actually indications,
but based on what they're saying, but it can get annoying because it's like, we should retreat. Like it's just over and over and over again. So you're like, oh, like your spinning bird kick. Yeah, exactly. That's what Shape said. so it can get a little crazy. The other element of this game that I wasn't like real, like up on is the fact that like I'm playing Rex is a DPS character, I don't even remember all their names. Nia is a healer, and then Tarin or I can't remember. Yeah, Anchor Shot. I'll show you a thing of 3. Yeah, that's all the stuff that Kirby Geeks typing in the chat. That's what you hear all the time. And then the other character is a tank, right? So you have all 3 of these things that you need to think about when you're putting your party together for. And it's all going to come at Tora. There we go. That's what I thought it was. But so, while you're in the middle of a boss fight, Tora you can see that they're being targeted because they're the tank. And so you can run around and do your DPS and that kind of stuff. And so there's a lot to this game as far as really paying attention to what's going on and making sure you've built the right team for the right situation. And it wasn't until just recently that I just finally got a 4th party member so that I could actually, because you can only carry 2 party members with you at a time. And so it wasn't until just recently that I just got a 4th party member that I have to decide, do I want to put this guy in here or there or what, So
this is kind of a loose association, but it sounds like it's something that's very similar to the way Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is, where you have generally one person that you want to have kind of fronting the line for the fight. You've got a support character and typically just another character that does damage, whether it be ranged or just kind of a mid-range character. But it sounds like this is more of like an action-based version of that, where you have a support character making sure everyone is kind of, or like a damage character kind of staying on top of the enemies, and the tank character who's kind of taking everything from the main enemies and holding that aggro. So very similar if people are familiar with like MMOs where you have a party system.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Shape says, the Holy Trinity, and that's really what it is. And so, and then your teammates can go down while you're playing. So you got to make sure to revive them so that, all of a sudden your tank goes down and then your healer's targeted and she immediately drops. And then you're like, oh great. Now I'm next, of course. So it gets really hectic. When you do the super moves, it's like you have to tap B at the perfect time. Like it's these, kind of like the God of War of the Uncharted, the quick time events basically. And so, and so you're hitting B at the right time, then you're smashing B as fast as you can, or you're hitting A and hitting, whatever. And it really, really has drawn me in. And I really recommend this game. And I'm glad awesome that it's doing so well on the eShop right now. It's up there. It at one point it was number 2 behind Rocket League. So,
well, that's cool. I mean, it sounds awesome. It sounds a lot more approachable now that you kind of talked a little bit about the battle system, because I think that was a thing that everywhere I've read, they're just like, this is probably one of the most in-depth battle systems you could ever possibly want for a JRPG. And I'm like, I don't know if I can handle that. That's a lot to commit to before the holidays. So, but I'm glad that you're loving it. I'm glad that it's a franchise that you haven't really gotten into that is now opening up a little bit more, because I'm sure we'll probably get some more of these as we come, especially with Project Octopath down the line.
Yeah, I'm excited to play that. I'm excited to go back and possibly play X and play the first in the series. Kirby Geek also said I should mention that you also switch blades during the battle. So you have your first blade, and after you battle for a long enough time, your second blade charges. So then that one comes out and it's fully ready with all 3 supers. So you can pull a heal right away. So you can be bouncing between your 2 blades that both have a heal attack of some kind that will pull healing potions out. So it's really a constant chess game of paying attention to who you're fighting, what you're doing, where your team's health is at, what blade you're currently using, what supers are going to be used. But at the same time, when you want to just grind for level, say you just want to grind for a while, you can almost play this game one-handed. You can almost just walk up to an enemy and just let it slice and dice and like be like playing pocket camp with your other hand if you really want to do that, to go find,
phrasing.
Yes. I don't even know what I said at this point, but whatever. Anyway, go buy.
Play with two hands.
Go buy Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and yeah, play with two hands. Let's talk about our retro question here. With the release of Mega Man Collection, what other collections would you like to see? And I put a handful of them here. Like, I think it would be kind of cool. And some of these are just Nintendo ones, some of them aren't. But like a Mario Golf collection, as we've seen a lot of Mario Golfs through the years. I've always been a big fan. A Mario Kart collection would be cool with me. I wouldn't mind seeing that done in a way where they just threw every Mario Kart map as DLC for Mario Kart 8. That's really how I'd like to see that go.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd really love that. I want the Disney Afternoon Collection to come to Switch. It's crazy that it's not on the Switch because that's where those Nintendo games originated. I would love to see the Disney Afternoon Collection. I would love to play DuckTales and Chippendales and all the Dales on the Switch. And I would love to have the Mario Golf would be a really fun one. Mario Party, maybe? I don't know.
We just saw the 100 games on the DS just came out. So something like that might be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Contra is another series that's pretty good, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. I'd love seeing a collection of those as well. Shapes says Diablo collection on Switch. Need in my life. Seems like a game that would probably work, right?
I don't know if we need Diablo 1. I think we could be happy with Diablo 3. Do we really need Diablo 1? We kind of know the story.
I have no clue. I've never touched them. But Kirby Geek says, I know the nerds want Dark Souls collection. So that might be kind of cool too. Again, a series I've never played, but I would like to because I love those hard games. And an Assassin's Creed collection as well. So
yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from, but this we're almost at an hour and a half. Sorry, guys. It's gonna be a large download, but where can people find you, man?
Same place as always. You can find me on Twitter at CAPT_LOGUN, Capt Logan. Same thing over at Twitch, twitch.com or twitch.tv/captain or capt_Logan. I've been streaming as much as I can Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Usually start around 6 p.m. Pacific time, which I know kind of kills out all the East Coast folks. Sorry about that, but that's usually when I get home from work. And then here from time to time, I'll be on the Discord channels. If you guys want to talk, come join our Discord so that you can have fun, making fun of me for all the stuff I say on here that doesn't make sense.
Guys, you're going to find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I was informed tonight, possibly on Christian Mingle and Farmers Only. So you're going to find me. It's N64Josh everywhere. N64Josh. So this show live Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, twitch.tv/N64Josh. If you have a second and you can leave a review in iTunes or leave a review wherever you listen, that would be so great. We really appreciate that. It's the reviews that help get us into the top 200 that really help get more eyes and ears on this show. So if you like what you're hearing, please take a second to review. If you've got if you're enjoying the show but you have suggestions, I read all the reviews that are there. So I'd love to hear from you guys. You can also hit me up on Twitter at N64Josh if you've got any questions or anything you'd like us to cover on the show. I am always looking for folks to interview. So if you have any suggestions, maybe introduce me to somebody on Twitter. Say at so-and-so, you should be on at N64Josh's show. And I'd love to chat and, just hang out and talk Nintendo stuff. So that would be awesome. Don't forget audibletrial.com/NPC. Don't forget opseat.com. Get yourself a gaming chair. They're comfortable, affordable. Use coupon code N64Josh, and I think that's it, my friend. We've had a long one tonight, so
that was long.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, we did it. So I'm gonna go make a pot of coffee. I'm gonna have hopefully a bunch of YouTube videos going up tonight. The unboxing of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the unboxing of Axiom Verge. Doing a video kind of just letting you guys know what's going on in my life. Most of you guys that listen already know with what happened with my wife and everything. She's good. She's on the mend. But it's been a crazy couple weeks, and I think that's it. I think I made it a quick impressions video of the Xenoblade controller as well. So that should all be going up on YouTube tonight, pending I don't just fall asleep. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here live. We appreciate you. Logan, thank you for your time. We'll see you guys next week.